Network. Dr. Ruth Anderson and Teri Angel here for a meditation a day. Today we are doing what we call meditation excavation. That's where we're just going to meditate right here with you. We invite you to join us. And then we will be sharing with you the messages that Spirit is sharing with us as we go. So I'm so glad you're here. Teri Angel, I'm very glad you're here.
Thank you, Ruth. It's good to be here. Good morning.
All right. Why don't we just go ahead into meditation and see where this takes us today?
All right. Well, let's start with the angels. It's where we love to start when we go into our meditation time, and we invite you to join in with us to invoke their energy. So first, let's call on Archangel Raphael. Raphael comes in from the east. That's his place that he guards. And he comes in with the energy of air. Raphael, the healer. And we invoke that healing energy for all of us today. Then we go to Archangel Michael up the south. Michael comes in with an energy of fire. So if it gets a little heated in your room, that's probably him sending some energy to you. And then we have Gabriel, who comes in and clears things up for us. Gabriel's energy is water. So just envision water being poured right in front of you, cleansing away anything that's a little muddy or muddled. And then we have Archangel Uriel. Uriel comes in as the earth element, helping us to ground and balance. And let's do that right now. As you take a breath in, envision that breath going down the length of your body, all the way down through the root chakra, out the bottom of your feet, and spreading like roots into the earth, grabbing on to that beautiful, nurturing, centering, and balancing energy that Mama Gaia provides. And just breathe it in. Enjoy that sense of stability and firmness as we put our feet on Mother Gaia. And now breathe it back up into your body, up all the way to your heart center, and just let it anchor right in there. Let it sit in your heart, and know that you are so supported by this planet that we're on. Now take in another breath, and we're going to watch as this energy goes up and out into the universe. We're directing it right to the great central sun of the Creator. Ever how you envision that Creator to be. I call on God. That's the name I've always called the Creator. And we call on all of divine to be with us during this time together. Our Divine Mother, Mary, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, angels and archangels, ascended masters and loved ones in spirit. We call you all, any that want to be present with us for this meditation. And we breathe that energy now back down through the crown, the third eye, the throat, and anchor it into the heart center. This has opened a channel from earth to heaven, and let that energy flow as we do our meditation together. See what comes forth for you as Ruth and I sit in this energy, and see what visions they give to us. Thank you to everyone who's joined in.
Thank you, Teri. So Divine Mother did not waste any time. So she immediately came in and then swooped up with us and over back toward the pyramids. We've got a theme going here, many lessons going here in this region. So she started in Luxor and then was like sort of heading up the Nile. But what she's been showing me is the importance of women, not current days, Oftentimes, when she takes us to the Nile, it has to do with Moses and him coming down the Nile in a basket, Herod's daughter, King Herod's daughter, saving him. It's not necessarily that, but it seems to be in about that time frame. But it's about the strength of women in that society, which is interesting because so often in that society you don't see the strength of women. You're seeing the strength of the men. But she was saying that the women are the thread that holds that society together, and especially when they are connecting with each other. And then the strength, the bond, the strength of the two or three or four together makes their impact even stronger. So that's where we were, Teri, when you were inviting in the angels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew Divine Mother was very, very present with us. Just feeling into that now.
The importance of finding your voice and being willing to speak up. Are you able to key in on that space and time and place?
He was moving us into a bit into the future and showing how important it is for us to speak up, but more importantly, to be consistent, to be an example. It's not always just our words, she says. It's our actions. It's how we show up in the world for ourselves and for others. And the actions that we take are always being seen. It took me back to when I was a little girl in this lifetime. And I always felt like there was somebody watching all the time. Like I was very aware that the angels were there, but it felt like that everything I did was out in the open. There were no hidden places. And that's exactly what she's showing, that everything that we do, even if we think that it's just us and we're all alone, nobody's seeing us, it does make a difference what we do, what we say. And not for anybody to become paranoid that you're being watched. That's not the point. It's we're always an example as we're walking on this earth planet. And just as that daughter of Pharaoh, when she did the action that she did to save Moses, that was seen, that was observed, that was seen as an act of compassion. And, many times we don't do things to ask for people to think better of us, but that's what we're putting out there is if we are being a better human, then that's going to be a testament to the fact that love does exist, that charity exists, that we're always being watched and seen by others in the world. I think that's a huge lesson that Divine Mother is bringing out for us.
Teri, now she took us to the suffragettes. I like the message that you shared, Teri. I think that's very important. I think there's also a message here of women coming together, finding strength in being together. So yes, the suffragette movement, trying to get the vote for women.
Right. And using our voice.
Right.
One of the reasons we don't speak up is fear of being persecuted or ridiculed, bullied, made fun of. So it's really learning that it's okay to say what you want to say and clearing that throat chakra so we can make our voice heard and our wishes known.
World War II, when women were having to band together and take on roles typically held by men. Rosie the Riveter. This is just so interesting, seeing all of these different iconic references to women standing in their strength. Interesting. The phrase that just came to my mind was go along to get along. And that's not what they're showing here today, for sure. Sometimes we take the path of least resistance. That's not what they're showing.
Right. And so many times we compromise, and many times we shrink back and play small because of fear of somebody being angry or battle ensuing if we really say what we are feeling or what we're thinking.
Interesting. I just heard the warrior goddess. I don't normally spend much time thinking about goddesses. I know some of our EWN people do. I don't normally, so that's interesting to hear the warrior goddess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time I think of that, a warrior goddess, and standing in our power, I think of Isis, the goddess Isis, and she just encouraged us to become self-empowered. It comes from within. It comes from knowing that we're worthy. We're worthy of being heard, of being seen. Our voice is just as important as anybody else. The angel said just last night, see everyone as your equal. There's no one higher than or lesser than. Don't put anybody up on a pedestal. see us all the same walking on this earth. I think it's important to say also, Ruth, that how we treat ourselves is how we're teaching others to treat us. So if we're standing confidently in the knowingness of who we are, and we're exhibiting that self-empowerment, it's not an aggressiveness, it's an assertiveness, knowing that we are worthy, then we're showing others that that's how we are to be treated, that we want that respect, and it's a mutual respect.
You know, when you said don't put someone on a pedestal, what I was seeing that was as you put someone else on a pedestal, you're actually lowering yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shrinking back, playing small. We're not here to do that.
So we're to look at the term goddess here. So, Teri, what does the term goddess mean to you? I don't think I've ever used it.
Well, the way I see it, it's the feminine aspect of divine. So just like when we call in Divine Mother, there's a warmth, there's a nurturing, there's complete unconditional love like a mother has for her children. So when we go into that goddess energy, we are just embodying Divine Mother. We're embodying that whole essence of wanting the very best for everyone, but we're doing it in such a way that we're not abrasive or aggressive. We're just showing up in our beauty, in our beautiful self that we are, and shining a light in that way so that others can see that they're supported, that we're all in this together. That's what it means to me. It's just that embodiment of the divine feminine energy. And it doesn't mean that it's weaker than God or any other masculine energy we perceive when we tune in to, let's say, Archangel Michael. It's just a different, like if it were a color, it would be a different hue of that energy. It's funny. She just dressed both of us in that, like this goddess flowing robe with jewels and a lot of bling, a lot of shine for both of us, Ruth.
You know, that's funny, Teri, because I was seeing something similar to that. To me, when I hear the term goddess, it always felt a little to me like dress up, like pretending to be something that you aren't. I guess this one's for me. It's interesting. I have no problem seeing all of us built in God's likeness, spark of the divine running through. I don't have any issue with that. So it's interesting that when people talk about the goddess energy, I kind of go, I don't know, that feels a little contrived. So I guess they're teaching me today.
Embrace your inner goddess. Embrace that beauty. That's what I see more than anything. It's just the acceptance of who we are. And that is a beautiful thing, to accept that there is God energy running through us, and just letting that flow, just like the goddess would walk through a room with ease, with grace. And that's how we're to show up in this world, not shrinking small, like we talked about, not swallowing our words, but speaking our truth, and speaking it in a way that's compassionate and caring, but also confident. Sometimes it can be a fine line to hold that confidence. And, some people might look at it as arrogance, but it's not an ego thing. It's being confident in who we are as a spark, as a divine being walking on this planet.
I was just asking Divine Mother about deferring to others because I think for me, there's a piece of the feminine energy deferring to others. And she said, well, there's a time for standing up and being heard, and there's a time for listening.
That's a great way to put it. I always say, pick your battles. So it just depends on the situation, because many times we need to speak up, but there's something holding us back. So knowing when you can speak up and when you're safe to do so is important. If somebody's in an abusive situation, sometimes you have to really walk that line and know that you have to be aware of your environment as well when you are speaking up.
I just got a flash of Joan of Arc.
Mm-hmm.
But she was pretending to be male, right?
Right?
That's so funny because the words that I heard and my brain went, no, that's backwards. The words I heard was a sheep in wolf's clothing, which is very funny because it's normally a wolf in sheep's clothing. Hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't see her as a sheep either.
No.
I guess to find sheep, right?
Right.
They very clearly said a sheep in wolf's clothing. So I'm wondering, are we being asked Okay, define sheep. It's peaceful, group oriented, they are kind of a go along to get along.
Yeah, they don't call a lot of attention to themselves.
Right.
They don't yell out and ask for other people to look at them and to follow them. Kind of like the wolf howls, and we pay a lot of attention to that. With the sheep, it's more of a just a gentleness.
But if you, okay, so I think what they're showing is if you hold those qualities of a sheep, the gentleness, peaceful, but you have to don yourself in wolf's clothing to be able to participate in the conversation, to participate in the game, but you bring in the peace. If you're not willing to don the wolf's clothing, you can't even be in the conversation.
Not seen, not heard.
Right. But once you're in the conversation, then you can bring in that peaceful energy.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay. So what I'm hearing is the goddess's energy has impact through influence. And the goddess's energy, it can be an influence of peace.
Very much so. I'm hearing the voice of reason. So I think many times when we think of, let's say, a mother, they try to reason instead of argue about a point. So it's really a wise thing to be a goddess. You bring forth the wisdom with it.
Okay. I'm seeing that a goddess does not just stand on a pedestal and talk at you.
Right?
They're showing me as this beautiful goddess on a pedestal, but wearing army boots.
Mhm.
Hmm. What I just heard was it's not how others perceive you, it's how you hold yourself. What's your intention? The warrior goddess. Okay. What they were showing when they said, "What's your intention?" Is it to bring world peace, share divine love? The warrior goddess. I guess when I had always thought of goddess, it was, this is going to sound odd. It was a noun rather than an action verb. They're showing it to me as an action verb.
Be a goddess.
Right.
Yeah. So that to me is exuding that energy, letting others see that it's okay to be strong and confident, but you're still loving and caring, just like the sheep.
Guess I've always just thought of goddesses as like standing on a pedestal and they don't do anything. What they showed me was like a sign that says, "Be back soon." Like when you're out doing your, living your life, leading by example, being true to who you are in those moments when no one is watching. Teri, to get back to what you said.
Mhm. Yeah, I just asked Divine Mother if she was a warrior goddess, and she was, but she didn't flaunt it, if that makes sense. Just like what you were just saying, she was showing us by example what it means to be caring and compassionate, to be there to support others. It takes a real strength because we're putting others as important in our lives and not just always thinking about ourselves. She could have been very selfish in her lifetime. You know, look at what all she went through and how she had to watch her son go through what happened to him. So she could have been very selfish, but she cared about others and she was helping others to grieve and to accept, to love. Yeah, I think she is the perfect example of a warrior goddess.
I'm also seeing Kuan Yin and Mary Magdalene.
Mhm. Hearing a word that they all exhibited that we observed, we watched that quality in them, and that is tenacious. They never gave up. They knew the truth and they knew how to keep going in spite of all obstacles. No matter what was presented, they just kept being strong, being resilient. I'm also hearing, Ruth, for those that maybe are having a difficult time seeing yourself as a goddess or a warrior goddess, I heard embrace your inner goddess. It's not that you'd have to go and lead an army or lead a message out in the world, but be that in your own life. Be that warrior goddess for yourself. And when you do that, you'll find that confidence to use your voice, to know when to stand up and fight or move forward and when to just be the supporter.
This is interesting, Teri. They're showing me that you don't have to be in a female body to be a warrior goddess. What they're showing is that anyone who is carrying forth those qualities of the divine feminine can stand in the strength of being a warrior goddess. Not in like a cross-dressing drag kind of way, not like that, but just bringing forth those qualities of the divine feminine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We both, well, we have both the masculine and the feminine contained within us. It's just what's getting the most attention at any given moment. And when you're standing in that divine authority as the divine goddess, then it doesn't mean that you have to be one or the other. This world is where we see duality, not in spirit.
It's not a demure kind of energy here. My mind is just going through different scenarios, different people that I see that warrior goddess energy in, and they're not a quiet group. They're not just sitting back waiting. They have a voice and they're using it.
Your leaders.
You know, one of the pictures that came to my mind, Teri, was Grace, who led the whole Day of Love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely warrior. Yeah, it was beautiful to observe that.
But she does it quietly, but with resolve,
Mhm.
unwavering. And she just kept coming back. Well, she never left. She was on all day long supporting the folks that were providing workshops or sessions for the Day of Love behind the scenes and never wavered.
Yeah, it wasn't a, hey, look at me,
Right?
look at what I'm doing. It was, look at what you are doing. Look at all the love that you're bringing forward and letting it flow. So very much a supporter, but a strong, strong presence throughout it all.
Well, they're showing me motherhood and many mothers who stand in this energy as they are parenting. Sometimes we think, oh, I have to go out and have a crusade. I have to go out and meet many people. No, you can have this influence in your own home. Or if you're a writer, you can write with this influence, or just being a good friend with this influence. Doesn't have to be big. I just heard the term rampage of peace. Interesting.
It has a good feel to it, Ruth. And I think there's something there. Mm. I think we're being encouraged to pay attention to those warrior goddesses amongst our midst. They're like grace. They're not going to just jump up and down and yell out and call attention to themselves like the wolves do. When their voice needs to be heard, though, it does raise up, it does howl, but there's a kindness and a gentleness. So acknowledge those that you see that are exuding that quality of the strength and the compassion together. I think that's the most amazing thing about warrior goddesses is they have both of those qualities all wrapped into one.
Well, and the strength connecting with other warrior goddesses.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They showed me two puzzle pieces when they're linked together, how much stronger they are than when they're just
Mhm.
by themselves.
Yeah. Power in numbers. Interesting meditation today.
Wasn't expecting that. Although I never expect anything and always get beautiful messages. Okay, well, friends, embrace your inner warrior goddess. Hmm.
Yeah, that feels good. It feels very warm and inviting.
Well, and I think your family needs it, your friends need it, the world needs it.
Mhm.
All right, friends, thank you for being here today. Beautiful time with Divine Mother and all of the visions that she was showing us. So we look forward to walking with you as you are embracing your warrior goddess and as we're learning about ours and embracing ours. So we look forward to the future with you. So take good care.